Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to step into the intellectual arena of 5th century Athens for a real high-stakes duel over one of life's biggest questions. So, in one corner, you've got Protagoras. He's the most celebrated, highest-paid teacher in all of Greece, a real master of rhetoric and the long, impressive speech. And in the other corner, you have Socrates, the kind of eccentric street philosopher who charged nothing, claimed to know nothing, and mostly just infuriated powerful people by asking them questions they couldn't answer.
These two met up in the house of a wealthy Athenian to debate one single explosive question, and it's one that's just as relevant today as it was back then. Can virtue, the quality of being a good person, can that actually be taught?
All right, so Protagoras, the seasoned pro, he steps up first. And his argument is basically, of course it can be taught. Are you kidding? Our entire civilization is proof. Protagoras builds his case using simple, common-sense stuff. He argues that, look, from the moment we're born, our parents are teaching us what's just and what's unjust. Then schools and laws, they just continue the lesson. He even makes this brilliant point that we punish people who do wrong not for revenge, but to teach them and everyone else a lesson for the future. In his view, we're all constantly teaching virtue to each other, all the time. And to really cap it all off, he tells this amazing story. He says when the gods made humans, they gave them skills like building and weaving, but they kind of forgot to give them political wisdom. And because of that, humans couldn't get along. They were basically destroying each other. So Zeus sent the virtues of justice and reverence down to earth. And here's the key part, not just to a select few, but as a universal gift to everyone. That, Protagoras says, is why we can all have an opinion on morality. It's like the essential software for society to even function.
So Socrates listens patiently to all of this, says he's very impressed, and then he completely changes the game with one deceptively simple question. He just pivots. Instead of asking if virtue can be taught, he asks a much, much deeper question. What even is this thing we're talking about? And this move? It's revolutionary. Before you can debate something, Socrates is insisting you have to define your terms first. Is virtue one single thing, or is it a bunch of different things? And this slide illustrates the two competing ideas perfectly. Protagoras argues that virtues like justice, courage, and wisdom are like the parts of a face. A nose isn't an eye isn't an ear. They're all distinct. But Socrates comes back with a totally different idea. What if they're like pieces of gold? A nugget, a coin, a ring. They all look different, but they're all made of the exact same stuff.
And here it comes, the classic Socratic method. Through this barrage of relentless, logical questions, he gets Protagoras to admit that, yeah, acting justly seems pretty holy, and acting with wisdom seems pretty temperate. The lines between these supposedly separate virtues start to get really, really blurry. Protagoras, the guy who's a master of the long speech, finds himself totally trapped in Socrates' web of short, precise questions. Okay, so now Protagoras is on the ropes, the crowd is on the edge of their seats, and Socrates moves in to deliver his stunning conclusion. He introduces one of the most famous and, honestly, most radical ideas in all of philosophy, the Socratic paradox. He claims that no one does wrong on purpose. The argument is, if you truly knew something was bad for you, you just wouldn't choose it. This means that what we call evil isn't really a moral failing, but an intellectual one. It's a mistake. It's like a miscalculation, right? You choose a smaller, short-term pleasure over a much greater, long-term good because you just don't understand the true values involved. All wrongdoing, he argues, is simply a form of ignorance. And this quote just nails it. If wrongdoing is ignorance, then virtue must be its opposite, knowledge. Courage isn't some mystical inner strength. It's the knowledge of what is truly dangerous versus what only seems to be. By this logic, all the virtues, justice, temperance, piety, courage, they're all just different names for the exact same thing, wisdom. Virtue is one. So this all builds to the very end of the debate, which closes with this mind-bending reversal that would echo through Western thought for centuries to come. And here's the spectacular twist. Socrates, the man who started this whole thing by arguing that virtue can't be taught, has just spent the entire debate proving that virtue is, in fact, knowledge. And what is knowledge, if not something that can be taught? Meanwhile, Protagoras, the professional teacher of virtue, has been backed into a corner where he has to argue that it isn't knowledge and therefore isn't really teachable. They have completely swapped positions. It's incredible. This is exactly why this duel of wits was so groundbreaking. It forged this fundamental link between ethics and reason that has pretty much defined Western philosophy ever since. The idea that to be good is to be wise, and that being immoral is just a kind of intellectual error. Well, that's a powerful legacy that thinkers are still grappling with today.
Which leaves us with a really tough and very modern question. If Socrates is right and people only do bad things out of ignorance because they've just made a mistake, can we ever truly hold them responsible for their actions? We'll leave you to think on that. As always, our goal here is to explore these big ideas, and this has been for entertainment and educational purposes only.